Hello, friends. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is having a great Friday evening and your weekend's off to a great start. This weekend has been a very long time coming for me, so I'm pretty excited that it's finally Friday. So let's see. Got the Matches Memorial Friday Savinelli with Haunted Bookshop, sounding like a broken record again. And I've got this beautiful tamper made by Jay Mouton a couple years ago, actually. This is one of his, I think he called them lizard tails. Very nice. So let's see who we got tonight. Corvette Jim, how you doing, Jim? Good to see a good report from you. Piper on the 45, Reed Bender Bud, Jeffrey Feinberg. Howdy to you, sir. Everett Young, how you doing, Everett? Briar Blues, great to see you, Mike. And Scott at the 16th day, Smoking Kentucky Piper. And Big Dave, good to see you guys. We got a nice turnout already. That's fantastic. As you probably know, because you're tuning in, our guest tonight is going to be Hobbiton Piper, Kevin. And it's great to see a lot of folks turning out for that. I'm really looking forward to getting to know Kevin a little bit better. So we'll get him on the line in just a short while. Armchair Piper, nice to see you, Ed. Kevin Berenger, good to see you, Kevin. Sorry about those mess ups with the commenting there. I still have not figured out what happened, but keep trying. You know, if you were trying to post a link, that's the one thing that YouTube seems to really not like. But usually it shows up in like a held restricted folder, and I'm not seeing that. So Daniel Leslie, how you doing, Daniel? And Michael Case, great timing on my Philly trip. Oh, not sure I understand, Michael. I live just outside of Philadelphia. Kilted Piper Steve and Miss Kathy, how you doing, folks? And Steve Russell, Longhead Piper, good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm guessing you're referring to the weather, Michael. We did have ourselves some weather this past week, and I know a lot of you guys did. So, we got off really lucky. We had, I mean, I could walk to places around here that were just flooded out. You know, like water up to the windows. We were fine. We're a little bit higher up. So yeah, I get you, Michael. George Tiedemann, hello, George, and Parikh Piper Skip, howdy. Loud teenagers, oh no, that's okay, Skip. Glad to have you. Pensive Piper, good evening to you, sir. And Kirk from Florida, how you doing, Kirk? How is everybody there? Recovering well, I hope. Gerald Flood, hello, Gerald. Daniel Leslie, can I call you next week's show? Me being a pipe smoker for less than a year, I'd like to. Daniel, I'd love to do that, but and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but I don't know if I'm going to have a show next week, and I'll explain. So why don't you get back to an email, and we'll find a date that works for both of us. I'd love to have you on, Daniel. So please do that. Dude Rustica, how you doing, Steve? So my wife has been wanting to go to the beach, and she keeps kind of putting off making plans and things like that. So in theory, we're supposed to go to the beach next weekend, but she hasn't planned it, and she's not sure she wants to go, and so on. So I don't know if I'm going to do a show next Friday or not, because if she wants to go, we'll probably leave Friday afternoon. So I'm not going to go through finding a substitute or anything like that, because I might be here. And if I am, I'll show up at 8 o'clock, and you'll see. I'll let you know probably Wednesday for certain. So that's why things are kind of uncertain for next week, and I don't want to schedule anything. Couch, how you doing, buddy? I have no idea where the remote is. Steve Russell, no wind damage here, but quite a bit, not very far away. You know, down limbs and things like that. We just had some twigs and black walnuts in the yard that I have to pick up tomorrow, but no damage at all. Did you look on the fridge couch? Boris the Piper, good to see you, Boris. Thanks for joining us this morning for you. All right, Smoking Kentucky Piper. Thank you for watching, buddy. By the way, I do have a beverage tonight. I was going to drink water, and then I just said, you know, with the week I've had, I got a martini on the rocks, completely non-traditional, but it's a dirty martini with extra olives. Big Dave, no water in the basement. Nope, the sump pump held up just fine. Texas Piper, great to see you, Eddie. Glad you could make it. And Michael Starcher, how you doing, Michael? Nope, Daniel, I would love to have a newbie on. It's absolutely perfect. So don't for a minute think that, and I know you're just kidding. But yeah, we'll chat with Daniel Leslie in coming weeks. How's that sound? And I've got the CaneRod Commander tonight. A lot of people ask about that lighter when I use it. Great lighter. If you can find one, they're really fantastic. Thank you, Longhead Piper. It is great. I'm enjoying the martini tonight. It's it seems like I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record here. By the way, do people still know what a broken record is? I feel like I'm repeating myself. But work is just my day job work has just gotten to the point where I come home at night, I eat dinner, and I just don't want to do anything. I just kind of veg out. And this morning, I didn't want to go to work. You know, it was that bad. And I had, fortunately, a lot of people took off today, and I had a couple meetings in the morning. And at lunchtime, I just said, forget it. I'm going to take a half vacation day. So I took half day off today. Just kind of rested and relaxed with my wife. Sat outside for a little bit this afternoon. It's very nice and cool. We're actually already into that sort of crisp fall weather. I don't know if it'll last, but it's really, really beautiful weather. So we enjoyed that, and here I am. So. Indeed, Scott. Indeed, that would be interesting. Everett, your next order, I would recommend you stay away from Haunted Bookshop because I hear this current batch isn't very good. You should probably stock up on the Autumn Evening and the Captain Black Grape. Speaking of lighters, has anybody heard of a Dissim lighter? Daniel, I've heard of them. They look kind of gimmicky to me, so I'm just happy with my Zippos and the Nimrods. But I'm sure they're fine. They're the ones that you can hold upside down, right? Corvette Jim, doctor changed his meds and they actually work. Oh, that's a good thing. Oh, fantastic, Jim. I didn't know you had MRSA. Boy, I got to pay more attention, Jim. I apologize. But glad you're feeling better, and I'm glad that's clearing up. That's scary. Tim Fournier, don't worry about it. We don't consider you tardy at all. Michael's weighing in on the Dissim lighter, saying he's heard good things. Yeah, I've heard good things too. It's just I'm not in the market for new lighters. I like the kind that I have, so I didn't mean to in any way put them down. I'm just saying they're not for me. Sister Mary, holy water. Indeed, Michael, indeed. Oh, Eddie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Little Fat Morgan, how you doing, Todd? Good to see you tonight. Oh, okay. Corvette Jim's got a Dissim, and he says it lasts for 3 days. And that's a butane, I'm assuming, Jim? Signalman Tony from Rhode Island. How you doing, Tony? And Rob Sharrett. Good to see you, Rob. Okay, Kevin Berger is telling Daniel that Briar Blues did a video about the DISM. So, and Briar Blues is in the audience. He can let us know whether or not that's the case, but that would be worth checking out for sure. Steve Russell, has anyone heard how Val is doing? I'm not sure who that is, Steve. I'm embarrassed to say. You're right, Texas Piper, but I know those are the two tobaccos that are like kryptonite to Everett. Ah, here we go. Armchair Piper's also got a DISM, so they're getting some good feedback on them. Tim Fournier just finished some Cumberland. I'm in the same boat as you, Daniel. I am way behind on videos, and I've given up on watching everybody. It's just not possible. Okay, there we go. Briar Blues is giving a thumbs up for the DISM lighters as well. So, yeah, fantastic. Check them out. Eden, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you tonight. I'd be interested to know how they hold up long term, meaning like a year or more, because in my experience, butane lighters just have always given me problems. And it might be me, and I know there's, you're supposed to flush the air and things like that, and I may not be doing it right. But I've never had a butane lighter, and including some pretty high-end cigar lighters that lasted more than a year. But I would love to have a butane lighter that I could just, fill and have around as a spare. And that's why I loved those little medic lighters, but they all started to die as well. Jeffrey Feinberg's waiting for Captain Black Cotton Candy. It'll be here, Jeffrey. Proto Piper, good evening, sir. Big Country Briar loves Nimrods. Greg Tunnel gave me a Bic lighter multi-pipe. Oh, I've seen those, yeah. Very nice, Big Country Briar. Glad to hear it, Eden. Eden's got some Carter Hall exercising ghosts. Ludlow Films, how you doing, Ludlow? 07, everybody, emoji salute. Texas Piper's got a Haunted Bookshelf and a 7 LE316 with some Yingling. Good man. Eric S., how's it going, Eric? Sunbear. Gee, is that the case, Eric? I didn't realize Sunbear was that good. Donald Hughes, how you doing, Donald? Welcome from Houston, my friend. Yes, that's right, Tim. They got the Diet Mountain Dew to go first. All right, guys. As much as I'm enjoying this, we'll chat some more after the talk with Hobbiton Piper as well. But I think we should go ahead and try to get Kevin on the line. So if you guys don't know Kevin, I think I've neglected to link to his channel below, but I will do that after the show tonight. Kevin's relatively new to YouTube, but boy, fantastic content. Does some really great tobacco reviews, and just a good guy. One of those sort of comfortable people that you just enjoy watching, and you feel like you're having a chat with them while you're watching his show. So I was really glad when he got in touch and was interested in doing this. So let's go ahead and see if we can get Hobbiton Piper on the phone. That's always a good sign.
This is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. It's CaneRod Piper. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing just fine. So we are live now, and we got quite a nice crowd assembled for you. So hope you're ready to chat.
Sure am.
So, folks, let me know if you can hear Kevin okay. The audio might be a little bit low, but I can try to adjust that a bit. All right, Kevin. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask you what I usually like to start with, and that's just, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, before we get started, I need to tell you some breaking news because if I don't, it'll be all I'm able to think about during our chat. So we
Okay.
just found out this evening that my oldest son's wife is in labor down in Arkansas, and she's already had a 7 an hour ago.
Oh my goodness.
So I could literally become a grandfather during this very phone call. So this is a super special day for multiple reasons, and I'm so excited to be here with you. You still have my full attention tonight, unless, of course, I get a call from my son about my grandson's arrival. So
Absolutely. And if that happens, you just go. We fully understand. And congratulations on that. Boy, we might have a first tonight, guys. Someone becoming a grandfather on the show.
Well, I was born and raised in central Arkansas, about 50 miles northeast of Little Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was a country preacher, and my mother was a kindergarten preschool teacher. And she eventually owned her own successful kindergarten and daycare center there in town where we lived. So any money that we had came from that modest business.
Uh-huh.
And my parents were actually 43 years old when I was born. My brother is 21 years older than me. And I have a sister that's 19 years older than me, and my youngest sister was 17 when I was born. So I was an accident, but my parents always called me a surprise bonus, so we'll go with that.
Wonderful.
Go ahead. I graduated. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't. You go ahead, please.
Well, I was just going to go on and say that I eventually graduated from college there in central Arkansas with a computer information systems degree, and spent the first half of my career developing in-house software for trucking companies that were headquartered in the area before eventually moving up to the Southwest Missouri area in 2014, where I had the opportunity to kind of change directions into the field of information systems auditing, which I do for publicly traded companies that have to provide assurance that their financial reporting is accurate. So basically, I've made a living in IT, and it's provided for me sufficiently over the years. And that's kind of my background as far as personal goes, I guess.
Okay. Fantastic. So I've got to ask this question, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But I'm just wondering, a preacher and a school teacher, that sounds like it would be a tough upbringing.
It was a very, very conservative upbringing for sure.
Yeah.
No smoking allowed. But it was a good upbringing, and I appreciate the roots that I have, and I learned a lot of good things, and hopefully at the very least learned something about how to treat people, and one thing that my mother repeated to me over and over, I've said this on my channel, a quote that she repeated to me all through my childhood was, in this world where you can be anything, be kind. And for whatever reason, that really stuck with me. So I just want to be kind to others, and I hope that can be infectious, and we can just all. We need more kindness, it seems, in the world today. It's almost like it's become a lost art. And so maybe to some I come across as too happy or something like that. But really, I'm just trying to be an encouragement to people, and I just want to show kindness.
Right. No, I think it's refreshing. And it's one of the things that really kind of attracted me to your channel. The very positive, upbeat, and kind format. And it is a lost art. You can disagree with people and still be kind, and I don't think people understand that anymore.
Absolutely, the art of conversation has kind of been lost, hasn't it? It's a situation now where it's almost like you have to take sides, and people are just thinking about the next thing to say in order to debate someone instead of learning how to listen to someone. So
right.
Hopefully that can change over time.
I sure hope so. And it's going to be one person at a time. So I'm glad you're in that group. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about pipe smoking. When did you get started with that, and how did you start?
Yeah, well, I first tried pipe smoking years and years ago. I think it was in the late 90s. I just went and got an Angelo wood pipe, and I still have that today, by the way. And I think I bought it at either Walmart or Walgreens. I can't remember, but there was some pipe tobacco sitting beside it. I tried it. It didn't really agree with me at the time. I don't think I had the patience for it back then.
Mm-hmm.
But with my connection with Tolkien and his works and Middle Earth, and we can talk about that more later, but
Sure.
you know, that really brought me back into wanting to get into the pipe smoking hobby, as I call it. I know a lot of people call it a lifestyle. For me, it really is both. I mean, I think there's parts to the lifestyle and there's parts to the hobby, right? I mean, there's things about collecting tobaccos, collecting pipes that are very hobby-like, and then there's things about just relaxing with a pipe that can be very much part of your lifestyle. So
Yep.
I think it's both. But anyway, just over 3 years ago, I decided to get back into it, started really watching a lot of Mutton Chop Piper, of course, and some with Bradley at Stuff and Things, and bought a corncob pipe, local brick and mortar. They gave me some Black Cavendish. I started there. And of course, it wasn't long until I realized that I wanted to progress further with other types of blends and other types of pipes. And then I just really got into it very aggressively, really, for 3 full years. And you can learn a lot in 3 years when you're really spending time with it daily. So that was kind of my background. And then earlier this summer, I was talking to, because I've been watching YouTube channels for a long time, but I was talking to someone that I'd met on a comment board, actually, on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up exchanging numbers. We were texting, and I was just describing some of the experiences I was having with a blend that we both knew. And he said, Kevin, you should consider maybe making a YouTube channel and sharing some of this with the community. I think they'd be interested in your thoughts. And I said, well, I've never really considered that. I don't know if anybody'd be interested or not. And then one day I just kind of went outside and on my back deck and turned the phone on and started recording, just sitting there talking. And it kind of started feeling natural after a few minutes, like I was kind of talking to a friend, and it almost made me feel like I had somebody to smoke with, right? Which I don't have here. And so that was kind of therapeutic. And people were very receptive, and so I decided to post a couple of reviews, and people were receptive to that. And then I guess it just kind of started building from there. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a good creative outlet also for me, but mainly it's just been a way for me to connect with other pipers and to make friendships. And I've just really been enjoying it. I'm so thankful for the people that have stopped by and have commented and interacted with me.
Great. Yeah, and it seems to have you seem to have been fairly successful at it as well. I mean, I was looking at your channel earlier today, and your subscriber count is up there.
Well, thank you. I try not to look at that too much. But I sure am thankful. I sure am thankful for those who have tuned in and have enjoyed the content and have decided to stay. And thank you to all those here tonight that have watched my content and have subscribed. It really does mean a lot, and I appreciate each of you, and I mean that very sincerely.
Oh, that is wonderful. So, in terms of your journey in the world of tobaccos, like where did you get started, and has that evolved much, or do you find that you're still sticking with the same types, or where are you at in that part of the pipe smoking?
Yeah, so as far as tobaccos, it started, like I said, just with house blends there at the brick and mortar. But then as I continued to watch videos and learn more about it, as I think many of us, especially those who are relatively new to the hobby in the past, 5-6 years, we learned quickly there's a lot of blends out there that a lot of people are raving about. So what ends up happening, you end up buying some of those, obviously, and progressing into those. I do remember some aha moments for me. One of the aha moments for me was when I first experienced Seattle Pipe Club's Plum Pudding. That was a blend that really opened my eyes up to the flavor profiles that could be achieved with all these different components, and that was eye-opening. And then kind of on the other end, as far as more of a Virginia, some say vapor, some argue that it's whether or not it's got Greek in it, but Orla Golden Slice was a big one for me too, because the citrus notes, the bready notes that I was able to pull from that was really special, and it just kind of defined a large range. I was actually into whiskey tasting, Mike, for years before I was into tobacco tasting, and so I spent a lot of time tasting both bourbons and scotches, Irish whiskeys, and doing a lot of A/B comparisons and flavor profile notes and things of that nature. And I was into that really strongly for several years, and I still do that some. And it's interesting to me the similarities that there can be between whiskey tasting and tobacco tasting, and how I've been able to, in some ways, translate some of that over into the tobacco tasting world, and I think that's helped me some as well, to be able to dissect some of these blends. And it's really been a lot of fun and addictive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's actually really interesting, because your tobacco reviews are actually very good. And I was wondering how your palate became so well developed in relatively short amount of time. And it sounds like those skills really have transferred over well.
Well, thank you. I think there are similarities. Everything is, of course, influenced by your own unique perceptions that you're going to have based on your own personal experiences, your expectations for a blend. But tasting, whether it's whiskey or wine or tobacco, it's really just about activating and awakening those senses and paying attention to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have to describe what you're experiencing. And that's all a reviewer can do, is just give you their personal experience, because everybody's going to have a different experience.
Sure.
All you can do is describe what you're experiencing, and then hope that they enjoy listening to it. And obviously, that experience may change over time, right? I mean, with Golden Slice, for example, I've spent now over 3 years with that blend, and I know it very well, and I feel very confident in what I can share as far as an experience with that blend. There may be other blends, for example, like Pegasus, which you're a big fan of, I know, that I have reviewed and have not spent nearly as much time with, but was able to spend enough ample time with it that I feel like, okay, as far as my experience with it to this point, this is what I have experienced. Well, knowing that spending another year with it could completely change that experience, or modify it at least. And then you've also got all the variables in tobacco tasting with how old the tobacco is and how that can affect the components and the flavor profile. So
sure,
there's a lot that goes into this, isn't there? There's a lot of variables, and it's just so super interesting to me. And I'm glad I have an audience that is enjoying listening to my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I think one that is appreciative of the sorts of things you just mentioned, and also the fact that our palates change over time. I smoked tobaccos in the past that I can't smoke now, just because my palate has changed. And
right.
So do you?
Yeah, and that happens with food a lot too, right? People say your taste buds change every 10 years. Sometimes they do a 180, and you'll have a taste that you couldn't stand 10 years ago, and now all of a sudden you love it. So that's a very interesting part of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. So do you pair drinks with the tobacco?
So I've been asked that before, and I do not. For me, it's more of a mitigating risk sort of thing, and all I mean by that is the studies that I have read is that your risk, I guess you could say, as far as pipe smoking is concerned, if you drink alcohol at the same time as you smoke, that those oral risks can increase. And just for my own peace of mind, I don't normally drink alcohol while I'm smoking, but I certainly do drink alcohol. I love beer, I love whiskey, I love, and I'm not opposed to doing that on occasion, but I don't make it a general practice. So I don't, just for personal, again, that's just me personally. I usually just drink water or tea or something cool while I smoke. But I certainly have drank while I smoke, but I just don't do it as a habit. My regular routine is to save that for before or after, but not during.
Right, right. No, that's wise. I mean, I've seen some of those same studies, and in this, for the sake of transparency, I just took a swig of a martini as you were saying that. So, I obviously don't religiously follow it, but most of the time, I'm probably drinking water. Uh, and I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
and I don't know if there's any truth to any of that noise or not. I have no idea. I certainly, it doesn't bother me at all.
yep,
Either way, it's just to this point, I don't normally pair it, but
yep. No, no.
I think it's interesting though. I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a slightly different question then. Do you find that there's any like do the different do those different hobbies in any way fight with one another? Like, does your palate get altered by smoking in a way that makes it harder to taste whiskey, or vice versa, or is there any interaction at all over time?
You mean if I was to go from a tobacco tasting to a whiskey tasting?
Yeah, even if it were like the next day, for example.
I don't. I mean, there are ways to cleanse your palate, right? So with whiskey tasting, for example, some of the best palate cleansers can be for your nose. It can be coffee beans, for example, for your taste buds themselves. It can be some unsalted, unleavened crackers, and you would clear your palate with that between whiskeys. As far as tobacco goes, really the only thing I've run into with that is if I'm smoking something back to back, then there might be some overlay there. But if any time has passed at all, I haven't had much trouble to this point switching blends. I thought it was interesting though, the people that participated in the Codger challenge that was going on around,
Mm-hmm.
and they smoked a Codger blend such as Carter Hall, for example, for 30 days straight. How inevitably all of them pretty much said that their palate was like reset.
Yeah.
And that first tobacco that they tasted after that experience was just on fire. Like it was just like they were really tasting everything, right? From that other blend that they picked up after smoking just one thing for a long period of time. So that's interesting. And if my life was on the line and I was about to do a tasting, I'd probably want to spend some time clearing my palate in that way, and before I've made too many decisions.
Yep, I understand that, and it's interesting. I've had periods where I just find, for some reason, I just kind of go off the pipes, like they're just not doing it for me anymore, flavor wise. And if I smoke a cigar, that seems to just turn a switch and things go back to normal. So I guess it's just a matter of getting different flavors to the palate and activating different parts of it or whatnot. But yeah, it's a really interesting area. So you mentioned Tolkien, and obviously based on your YouTube name, you're a fan, and it sounds like that's had some influence on you. So can we talk about that for a bit?
Well, it certainly brought me to pipe smoking. My fandom, I guess, of Tolkien's Middle Earth is really specifically towards the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings stories. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of Peter Jackson's movie versions of those. I thought they were just brilliant adaptations that were done in a wonderful way. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I think overall those are just wonderful, and I wouldn't trade a moment of any of them. Now, I'm not a Tolkien scholar. There are those that devote their entire lives, Mike, to studying his intricately developed fantasy world, and I'm not one of those. I know people that are, so I'm confident in saying that I'm not that. Mm-hmm. And I'm certainly not a Tolkien trivia buff either, but I know how those stories make me feel, and I know the connection that I have to them, and I am a big fan, and I have a lot of love for that fantasy world and the story. So it's something I've been able to share with my family and something that we all love, and looking forward to seeing what content may be produced in the future when it comes to Middle Earth. Hesitantly, but I'm hesitantly excited about it. So we'll see how it goes. But I thought Peter just did a fantastic job. I wish he could be involved in all projects while he's still alive, if there's going to be more. I thought he was excellent.
So I'm curious, did you read the books before you saw the movies, the Peter Jackson movies?
I
Okay.
had read the books, read them when I was younger, read them again later, and before the movies came out, and have read them since the movies came out. And they are two totally different. Well, I won't say totally different, but they are two different experiences,
Mm-hmm. Oh
and
yeah.
they're both wonderful in their own right. But no movie adaptations can be exact to a book. It wouldn't be fun to watch. It wouldn't
No, of
translate
course.
well to film. You have to make decisions as to what's going to work and what's going to keep people engaged, and that's where I thought Peter did such a wonderful job was picking and choosing his spots as to, okay, where am I gonna leave a little bit and go this direction from the book, and then how am I going to get back onto where I need to be, and I thought he did a really good job with that.
Yeah, and the thing that impressed me, and I'm curious if you had a similar reaction. You know, I read the books and read them when I was young. I didn't reread them. And when I went to see those movies, I was really struck by, often you read a book and you go to a movie and you're like, this doesn't look right. But it looked right. I mean, even the characters looked the way I had imagined those characters when I read the book.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that the casting and the costuming and of course all the locations, it was just really brilliant. And a lot of that's due to them paying such close attention to the artwork that they had available to them. And so that I thought that was done really well.
Yeah, I agree. It certainly was a masterpiece that Tolkien put together, and yeah, Jackson didn't do a bad job. But you're right. You have to take it for what it is, and it can't be a complete recreation of the book, and shouldn't be really. And it probably has spurned a lot of people to go and read the book that hadn't previously read them. So.
Yeah, and some people who are just fans of the movies, they don't like the books. They think the books are written in too much of an old school style, and
Oh, that's interesting.
and in some cases they think they're written, more like a history lesson instead of a story. So, and it's just everyone's got their own opinions and things that they like and or dislike. But I think if someone's interested in fantasy at all, I think there's a place for Tolkien in their world, because whether you prefer books or you prefer movies or what, I think you can find something you connect with if you're interested in fantasy at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And of course, Tolkien was a pipe smoker, and that comes through loud and clear.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw a tin on eBay just this week. I think it was for like $220, but it was of the capstan, medium navy cut.
Ah, okay.
And one of those old tins, and that was pretty neat to see. And supposedly it was unopened, and so that's of course something that'd be a holy grail type of acquirement, wouldn't it? But,
Yeah, sure would. Yeah, that and his buddy C.S. Lewis was famous for smoking original Three Nuns. So finding a tin of that from that period would also be quite interesting.
yeah.
Very good. Well, I think if it's okay with you, we'll turn it over to the chat room and see if the folks have any questions for you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Guys, if you've got questions for Kevin, please go ahead. There's a slight delay, Kevin, so we'll have to wait for a minute, and I'll look back and see if anybody has asked anything while we were chatting. Okay, Jeffrey Feinberg wants to know, how many pipes do you have?
So I think I have just around 20. I don't have a ton of pipes. I have kept most of everything that I have purchased. I've been gifted a couple, and I think I have around 20. And I probably smoke in my rotation about a dozen of those. So I don't have a lot of pipes, but you've always got your eye on the next pipe, I guess you could say. But really,
Right.
as long as you have some pipes that you're comfortable with, that's really all you need. And as you have enough, you can rotate them. Rotate them every now and then. and not, give them some ample drying time and not just smoke the same pipe all the time, then you're good. So
Yep.
I think I'm in pretty good shape there, but I expect that number to grow over time.
Yeah, that's quite reasonable. I mean, it's amazing how they grow. I swear they get together and multiply. So Lurking Piper is asking what you do for a living. You already kind of addressed that. You're in the IT field. Is that accurate?
That's right. I am a certified information systems auditor, and basically I audit the information systems that can affect financial data for publicly traded companies. You don't want another Enron situation, so there are now
yes.
laws that have to be met, and there's controls that have to be followed to make sure that people are reporting proper financials, so when people choose to invest, they're not getting screwed. So, we have to make sure. As an internal auditor, though, I'm working for one company, making sure that company is doing things the way they should be doing it, so that they are prepared for any external auditing that might happen.
Right. Very important work. Glenn Dunnington wants to know if a visit to New Zealand is on your bucket list.
Oh, it is my number one bucket list item, actually. That has been on my list forever. That's, of course, where the films were filmed. Mm-hmm. And it is just beautiful, breathtaking what I've seen of it. And a lot of those locations are still available for fans to visit. In fact, they have a full tour guide that you can follow and see many of these places, Hobbiton included. So I would love to get to do that, and it's absolutely on my bucket list. My wife wants to go as well, so it's something that we'd love to do down the road.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we can have the time to do that. You really need a couple of weeks to do it right.
Yes.
You need to be able to go spend about half a month if you really want to see everything and check that off your bucket list for good. But I would absolutely love to do that.
Yeah, my wife and I had an opportunity to go that's a while back now, about 20 years ago, before the movies came out. So that wasn't even on our minds at the time. But it's just breathtakingly beautiful, as you said. So make that happen someday. You'll really enjoy it. Let's see. Glenn Dunnington. I've already asked Glenn's question. Sorry. Kilted Piper, Steve, and Miss Kathy, just want to say it's great to find another Arkansas boy here with the rest of us, even if not all of us are still living in Arkansas.
Yeah, that's right.
Back to Glenn. He's got another question. He wants to know if you've tried the Middle Earth tobaccos from John David Cole. What's the name of that tobacconist?
Country Squire?
Country Squire, yes.
I have not. I have not ever ordered those. I have placed orders from Country Squire, but never of those blends. I have not. I've heard really good things about Rivendell. I've heard really good things about Old Toby. But no, I have not ever had any of those. So that's something I need to do. I'd love to experience those at some point, but I have not.
Gotcha. Proto Piper is asking, and I'm glad he brought this up because I forgot I wanted to ask you about this, how you got involved or interested in bird watching.
Oh, okay. Well, my father loved bird watching, specifically hummingbirds, and I kind of took that and expanded on it when I had a deck with a pergola, which you can see in many of my videos. It's kind of a good way to hang various bird feeders. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of studied the various feeders that I might need to attract the most amount of birds. So I started with just some regular tube feeders, but made sure that I got some that were considered to be squirrel proof. And basically the way that works is as a squirrel jumps on the tube, there's a cage that runs the length of the tube. And as the squirrel jumps on that cage, his weight pulls the cage down and shuts off the feeder ports so that he can't get to the seed. So they learn really quickly, and then when he jumps off, the cage pops back up and exposes the feeder ports. So the squirrels learn very quickly that they can't get to the seed, and so they leave them alone. And I have a lot of squirrels in my backyard, so that was important.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd just be feeding squirrels and not the birds. So I got a couple of feeders for sunflower chips, which, by the way, if anyone out there is listening and interested in bird feeding, this is a great tip. you don't want to buy the cheap mixed seed bag. Go ahead and spend the extra on like some good sunflower chips that there's basically no mess because there's no shells, and the birds aren't going to just drop a bunch of stuff on the ground. Everything's edible. And so if you fill a couple feeders with sunflower chips, and if you get a peanut feeder and you fill a feeder with peanuts, just get some dry unsalted peanuts from your local store, put those in the peanut feeder, you will attract an amazing amount of birds. I think I've attracted 35 different species of birds to date into my backyard with just those feeder. Well, I have sunflower chip feeders. I have a peanut feeder. I put safflower seeds kind of out on a couple of feeders out in the yard, hanging from trees, because squirrels don't even like safflower seeds. So those just kind of your standard feeders you can find anywhere. And then I have my hummingbird feeders, and then 1 month of the year, the Baltimore Orioles will migrate through. And during that month, I will put out some Oriole feeders that actually have grape jelly, because they love grape jelly, and they have orange slices. So the Orioles will come and they'll eat the grape jelly and the orange slices, and they'll put it's really an orange half, and it'll be sitting on there, and they'll eat that for that month. They'll kind of fuel up, and then they'll move on. So that's kind of the way I feed my birds, and I've attracted a ton of them with just that, and it's been a lot of fun, and I love watching them, and I show bird clips on my channel quite a bit, so
yeah,
it's a fun time.
Very nice. My buddy Greg, the Tunnel Take, wants to know if you've been practicing your smoke rings.
I'm not very good at it. The thing is, I always smoke outside. Unfortunately, I don't smoke inside unless I'm in the garage. And that may prove to be difficult this winter because it gets pretty cold here in Missouri. Not as cold as a lot of you guys that are up north. You guys laugh when I say it gets cold in Missouri. But
right.
For me sitting out there, I'll have to be bundled up if I'm going to do reviews out in the coldness and then snow if we get some of that. But I only smoke outdoors. And it's pretty windy, it seems like, every time I'm outdoors. So if there's any wind at all, smoke rings are pretty much impossible.
Right.
I can make smoke rings, and I've done it in the garage on occasion, and I'm not that good at it, though. I don't practice it as much as I should. You'll have to watch Old Hollywood Bry or Gabriel and watch his smoke rings.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perique Piper Skip is looking for some professional input here. He wants to know XP7 or 10?
10. I use 10.
All right. Michael Case is just commenting, saying you don't seem to have any problems talking, and he thinks it must be your preacher-teacher upbringing. Great job. So, just giving you a compliment.
Thank you very much. There may be something to that. My father was a great presenter, and my mother was as well. She would actually host workshops for other teachers and teach them how to create visual aids for children and how they educational visual aids, and then teaching them how to present those to children to help them learn that content. So maybe there is something to that. I don't know. But thank you very much for the compliment. Appreciate that.
Okay. Texas Piper is asking if anyone else in the family smokes a pipe or smoked a pipe in the past.
My grandfather on my mother's side smoked a pipe for a time. When it came out, and I'm not sure what year it came out, you guys will have to educate me on that pipe smoking was, quote, or that smoking in general was, quote, bad for you. For religious reasons, he gave it up thinking that he might be hurting his body. And to my knowledge, he is the last person in my family before me to be a pipe smoker. My parents did not. I don't have brothers or sisters that do. My grandfather smoked a pipe. I have vague memories that he smoked Prince Albert, but I have no confirmation of that. Unfortunately, I do not have. He probably only owned one pipe, and I do not have it. I don't know what happened to it. He may have just thrown it away. But I do not have his pipe. I wish I did. I've thought about that many times. That would be special to have his pipe, but I don't. My grandfather, though, is the only one that I know of that I had personal contact with that smoked a pipe.
Okay. Everett Young is saying he loved your video on Rustica, and he wants to know how hard did it really hit you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Rustica is legit, y'all. I loaded a big bowl of that. The video he's referring to was a Smoke With Me video called Getting Loopy on McBaron HH Rustica. And what happened during that video was I loaded a huge bowl of Rustica. It was a sample that I believe Mel had sent me. And I knew it was strong. And people had told me that I needed to eat before I smoked it. And so I'd eaten a full lunch. And I sat down with that, started talking, making the video, decided I was going to pause the video, get about 15 minutes into it, come back, paused it again, got another almost 15 minutes in, it came back. So by the time I was really recording the video, I was 30 minutes into this Rustica, and I was hitting it. I wasn't like, going crazy choo-choo train with it, but I was smoking it.
Right.
And I was retrohaling and the whole 9 yards. And you doggone right, it was hitting me. I was loopy. I was feeling it. I was swimmy-headed. But I've had this happen before, where, the nicotine sickness or whatever. I know a lot of you guys, it doesn't affect you at all. You can smoke whatever you want, and it's not a big deal. I'm not in that boat. If I smoke something really strong like that, I'm going to feel it, especially after half an hour. And so, yes, it really did hit me the way that it was portrayed in that video. And when I stood up, and I actually, normally I turn the recording off and that's the end of it. But I stood up. The recording was actually still going. And I stood up from recording that and literally felt myself wobble a little bit. And so I kind of moved behind over to the side and held on to the pergola for a second, and then turned around and kind of laughed about it, and just ended up leaving that in because it was so funny. But yeah, to answer his question, that really did hit me pretty good. But you know what? That's a really tasty blend, though. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that blend. So I'm glad I have some of it on hand now. And I'll definitely be pulling that out on occasion when I want to get strong smoke. But that's a fun one. I asked people in the comments, let me know what your strongest blend that you've ever smoked was. A lot of people talked about the Gal with Ropes, and there were a few others mentioned that I hadn't had. But what was the name? Is it Samoy, or you guys know in the chat?
The Manil
Which one
Samoy.
I'm talking about. There's one that a lot of people mentioned was the strongest that they'd ever smoked. But then I had some people say, oh, that's only 60% as strong as Rustica is. So who knows? I'm sure it affects people in different ways. But that's a strong. Have you ever had Rustica, Mike?
I have certainly enjoyed it, but I'm one of those freaks that's not sensitive to nicotine.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah, but just so you know, Kevin, you're in the majority. I mean, most people are. It's rare, and Everett Young is laughing right now, wondering how you got loopy on it, but he knows as well as I do that he and I are unique in our ability to handle nicotine.
Yeah, Everett's a machine.
Yes, he is.
You have to know who you can have a drinking contest with, or you need to know who you can have a smoking contest with, and you don't want to have a contest with Everett or Mike. I know that.
All right, so let's do one more question, and then I'll let you go so you can get back to Baby Watch there. Daniel Leslie is asking about your impressions of Haunted Bookshop, in particular wanting to know if you think it's strong for newbies.
I did a review on Haunted Bookshop. I did warn that inside that bookshop there are some nicotine ghosts flying around, so if you are susceptible to nicotine, you do need to be careful, I think, with Haunted Bookshop. Again, a lot of people are not affected by that at all, but Haunted Bookshop, I think, is one that for people who are potentially susceptible to nicotine, that they could certainly feel it. So I would say to be wary of Haunted Bookshop in that regard. But again, that just means, guys, that you need to make sure you eat a little something. Make sure you take it a little slow. If you start feeling something, slow down a little bit more. and drink something sweet. Have a sweet soda beside you or something, and take it easy. But it doesn't mean you can't experience these blends. Just don't hit them hard for 25 minutes straight. Expect to stand up, feel the thing.
Right, absolutely. That's good advice. Good advice, Kevin. Well, Kevin, it's really been a pleasure. I thank you so much for taking the time out for this. I've enjoyed chatting with you. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm gonna let you get off to, as I said, the baby watch, and wish you all the best with that, and congratulations on becoming a grandfather.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much to everyone that attended tonight. I really appreciate you listening, and hope to see you all soon. Thanks again, Mike.
All right, take care now, Kevin. Oh, that was fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. Kevin is quite a good presenter, and if you're not subscribed, I feel bad that I didn't put the link below, but you can just search YouTube for Hobbiton Piper, and I will put a link down there after the show tonight, so that you can check him out, and please check him out and subscribe. He's got some fantastic content, and it's really really worth your time to watch him. So by the way, this is a J Mouton that I started while I was talking to Kevin. I'm done with that now, and I'm just sticking with Haunted Bookshop tonight. And I'm gonna reload the Matches Memorial 7 Ellie again with Haunted Bookshop. Good. I'm seeing lots of thanks for Kevin, and they're well deserved. He was a lot of fun. And by that whole Tolkien thing, it's amazing the impact that's had on pipe smoking. I saw Doug commenting on the increase in church warden sales, and for me, it was a little annoying, to be honest, because all of a sudden, something I've been doing for the better part of my life was trendy. But we got a lot of new pipe smokers out of it, and that's a good thing. It doesn't matter how you get interested, as long as you stay interested, right? And the guys that stayed interested are good members of our community. So I enjoyed chatting about that, and getting his thoughts on the book versus the movie, because that's something that I've thought about a lot. I could well, I don't want to get into it, because I'm not necessarily a fan of the movies. I know that's anathema in some circles, but I'm running out of fluid here. Yeah, I know that's anathema in some circles, but it's for me, I just felt like they were, especially The Hobbit, it just got too stretched out. It was like they were trying to make too many, they were just making movies because they knew they would make a profit, in my opinion. But that's just me. I got to refill this. I wanted to say something. I filled this earlier today. Oh, Paul, thank you so much, my friend. I greatly appreciate that, Paul. It's very kind of you. This has that Japanese cotton in it that I talked about a while back. And I think that over time, this has actually become worse than, well, we might have a problem here. We may have to end early for lack of lighter fluid. That's empty. This could be a problem. So, yeah, I think that over time this has actually become less reliable. Forgot to put the little felt thing back in. It initially seemed to hold the fluid much better, but after a couple of months, Sorry, I just want to get this lit in case I can't light it again. After a couple of months, it really seemed to just not hold the fluid as well. So be cautious with that Japanese cotton. I'd be interested if any of you guys... Oh, Michael, thank you so much. That's really very kind of you, sir. And you get a foghorn as well. So Michael and Paul, I really do appreciate that. I'm gonna have to relight again. Hopefully that'll kick in. Sorry. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, that's interesting. So Doug Owens saying that the manufacturers couldn't keep up with the church warden demand. Everett's going to load a bowl of Haunted Bookshop. I hope you got a lighter that works. Very interesting, Michael Case. 100 pages of The Hobbit and it wasn't for him, so he went back to reading Spinoza. Having read some Spinoza myself, I find that to be very funny. Oh, thank you, Doug. I'm okay. I've got another tin upstairs. It's not that humongous, is it? It's not 5, it's 12 ounces. You don't get the 12 ounces out there? I know they do make a smaller one, but I buy it in bulk. Ludlow Films. Thank you so much. More fun than Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, or Disney Duns. That's a huge compliment, Ludlow Films. I really appreciate it. There we go. It's going now. So, yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about next week, just because, like I said at the beginning, in case you guys weren't on, I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. I'm going to try, but we may wind up taking off on Friday afternoon for a little beach trip. Be back on Monday. So I don't know for certain, so I'm not going to try to get a replacement or anything. So you'll have to just go one night without all this fun. But I'll be back after that. Tim, I honestly didn't notice the earwig. I'm sorry. I've been having some trouble keeping up with comments. Ah, there you go, Jim. 12 ounces for home and a smaller can for the car. I actually don't keep it in the car. I don't know why. It should be okay, but I worry about it, you know, with the heat and all that. Of course, the time that the lighter's acting up is when the Haunted Bookshop doesn't want to stay lit. It's good to keep my pipe from being hotter than... All right, Tim. Tim loves to put little earwigs in. Yeah, Doug, it is good for the hobby, and it's good to see that. When did you throw olives in your glass? Did I have a moment? No, they were in there from the beginning, Skip. It's just that there was ice. I was on the rocks, but they've always been there. Just the ice was melting. That is a very poorly made martini. It's basically ice and in this case it's vodka because I ran out of gin. Still haven't replenished my since I was several weeks ago I mentioned that we ran out of whiskey. I still haven't gone to the liquor store. So it's vodka, ice, some of the olive juice and a couple of olives, and I stirred it. So nothing fancy. But I didn't magically make olives appear. It'd be pretty cool if I could do that. All right, Ludlow Films got his 320 KS after a sidetracking. Hey, Monclaw Godzam. How you doing, Mike? Good to see you. Kilted Piper Steve and Miss Kathy are liking the burley flake that Nellie sent. Is that one of the Cornell and Deal burley flakes? Or is that the H&H? I did indeed stir it, Siller. I'm sure Neef is similar to beef there, Ludlow. They sell beer like in Texas now? Well put, Doug. It is indeed a Gibson. No, Sailor, I disagree with that. When you shake it, the ice shatters and it dilutes the liquor. So stirring is better. Bond was a lightweight, apparently. Yes, Michael, you could send your 3 gallons of gin. I would gratefully accept that. No, we're gonna go to the maybe this weekend we'll make a trip to the liquor store. Okay, it's the H&H Burley Flake. That's good stuff, Steve. Yeah, Steve and Kathy. There you go, Ludlow. Taking one for the team with Slightly Dry Haunted Bookshop. No, Tim, it's not cold gin time again. It's a martini of sorts, Grooven Piper. Poorly made in a hurry. Well, happy birthday, Kirk from Florida. Kirk is going to be 64, and he's going to make fajita meat on the grill, oven roasted potato wedges, stir-fry vegetables. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, indeed. When should we show up, Kirk? Well done, Cody. That's true, Doug. He probably was just drinking straight from the bottle. But that man was a machine when it came to putting out those books, though. Ian Fleming. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever read any of the Ian Fleming novels, but they're not easy to read. Jeffrey Feinberg, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. You have a great weekend. All right, Kirk's having a kegger. Fantastic, Kirk. Seriously, we hope you have a very happy birthday, my friend. Sailor's got a rather full freezer right now. Yeah, Ludlow Films. I don't worry about it drying out. It comes fairly dry, and granted, it can get drier, but like sweet rolls out of the oven. There you go. I had a haunted bookshop near shortage this past week. I had ordered it, and I actually had just about enough to get through the day on Wednesday. And it was coming by UPS, and we had the weather here with Ida coming up and everything, so I thought, oh, that's probably going to delay it. And then I got a message from UPS that they had transferred the shipment to the postal service, which it could take another week then. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, it was sitting on the front porch. So I got lucky there. Did not have any break in the flow of Haunted Bookshop. Not that I don't have any cellar. I could have opened up a jar if I had to. And I got other things to smoke as well. But there was a couple of tense moments here. Ah, I see, Tim. So you think Bond did it on purpose to stay sober? Yeah, Bond with acne just wouldn't work, Doug. Ludlow Films, it varies from day to day, but on average, it's probably 6 to 8 bowls a day. And I can't say how fast I smoke a 1 3/4 ounce tin because I've never really paid attention to that. But I can tell you that the past 2 pounds of Haunted Bookshop that I smoked lasted around 45 days. I think the previous one lasted 48 days, and the most recent one lasted 44 days. So that works out to about, I forget what it works out to, but you can do the math yourself. 44 days for a pound. So Tim smokes about 8 a day too. So Tim's in that same league as Eric and I. I'm sorry, Everett and I. Sorry, Everett, I want to keep calling you Eric tonight. Oh, so Everett's up to 9 to 12. Okay, he's outstripped us, Tim. Texas Piper, I tried Sleepy Hollow a while back. I didn't like it, but it is an aromatic, and I have trouble with those, so a lot of people love it. Ludlow Films Bayou Morning is a fantastic blend. One of my favorites. Are you going to do the flake? I mean, the ready rubbed is good too, but the flake is just excellent. Oh, Scott at the 16th day is in Everett's category too. Wow. And Jim's joined the club, the 8 bowl a day club. I got to tell you, okay, so Eden's 2 to 3. It's an interesting question, Steve, about how you keep count. I tried to count one day. I cataloged this, so every bowl I smoked, I took a picture and put on Instagram this day. It was such a pain, and I swore I would never do it again. This is just something that I do sort of automatically as I'm going through the day, and to count actually just made it into a chore, and I didn't enjoy that at all. Lost his head over Sleepy Hollow, Tim. So Creek Piper skips at about half, so he's doing about 4 bowls a day. Kilted Piper Steve and Miss Kathy. Oh, well, thank you, Steve. I'm really glad to hear that. It was a pleasure helping you out, and I hope other folks pick up cob modding because it's just a lot of fun. Got you, Ludlow Films. Well, there's nothing wrong with the Ready Rubbed. It's fantastic. The stuff I've recently had was the flake, but I smoked the ready rub as well, and it's good stuff. You're going to enjoy that. Yeah, Texas Piper, that's a curse that I have. I keep buying aromatics thinking they're going to be different from the other aromatics, and they very, very rarely are. Everett Young has an auto loader. That's funny, Everett. Oh, that's interesting, Sailor. So the martinis with cigars and scotch with the pipe. I honestly, I mean, I enjoy these, but it's probably not my favorite drink to have with a pipe. I just dropped my glasses. I better get those before I step on them. So there's a Sutliff Red Virginia Ribbon Challenge that Hobbiton Piper started. I see that, Ludlow? Chopped up a pound into 8 2-ounce tins. Okay, and I guess you're going to sample that over time. That'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. I've got some. Cornell and Deal makes a really excellent Red Virginia. I think it's just called Red Virginia Ribbon, and it's sold as a blending tobacco, I believe, but it's really good on its own. It's a very deep, sweet flavor, nice, deeply fermented Virginia. And I've got some of that I jarred up. It's got to be 8 or 9 years ago now. I should get a tin of that out and jar that out and try it. So Everett gets 3 days out of a 50-gram pouch. Yeah, it's probably about right for me too. Yes, Steve, thank you for asking. I am going to have the auction. Steve is referring to the auction I want to have for my buddy Justin Aldrich, who passed away. I want to do an auction for his family. And I had some Cobb mods that I'm going to auction off, but I'll show you what happened. I was hoping to have them done by now, and this is the stem off of that cherrywood tomato. You'll notice it's a bit truncated, and you probably can't see it, but there is a hole I sanded through, and that's because I tried a new slot cutting method that I'm not going to try again. So I got a new stem blank ready to go. I just have to make the stem and then get them together. So, and time has been an absolute premium these days, so I just haven't been able to get it together. But I will, and I'll let you know when that's going to happen. I'll talk about it in other YouTube videos. I'll do posts here and on Instagram as well. And I really appreciate anyone that can show up for that. I should say, and I feel bad I forgot to say this earlier, James Stumbo has made some beautiful stuff for this auction. He's made a couple of pipe holders. Those really beautiful resin pipe holders that he makes, as well as a really beautiful tobacco tray that has a brook trout on it, and it's just gorgeous. And he also made a knife, a really beautiful knife with a leather holster. So those things are all going to go into the auction as well. And I've got a tin of tobacco that I'm going to try and find, because it's in my cellar somewhere. I don't want to promise anything, but it does have a frog on it, so that's going to go into the auction as well. So thank you for asking about that, Steve. It'll probably be in about 2 weeks. Yeah, Doug, I can corroborate that. He's saying that Bremen Pipe Smoker claims the aromatics made in Germany are more flavorful. I've had what the heck's it called? I think it's called Sweet Honeydew Melon from Dan Tobacco. It was given to me by my buddy, the Durham Duke, and it is wonderful tobacco. I still have some. I enjoy it a lot of times on the weekends when I'm working here in the shop. And it's one of the few aromatics that I've really enjoyed. And I would imagine, if I was going to try another aromatic, I'd probably want to find one of the Dan Tobacco because they're just really good. At least that one is really good. Oh, that's a beautiful picture there, Sailor. Do you blend your own blends commercially? I don't low films, but I don't think you're asking me. Who were you asking that question to? Oh, Doug Owen, probably. Eden likes aromatics mixed with neutral burley. That would tone them down a bit and give you some body, so that's a good thing. Blue Note was his go-to. Ludlow Film says, yeah, the world of tobaccos is amazing. Yeah, Tim, I think I Hate Roger Goodell needs to go commercial. We're going to have a tasting of I Hate Roger Goodell. Jim, I don't think the frog will go for that much, but Sweet Vanilla Honeydew. Thank you, Mike. That's exactly what it is. Fantastic tobacco. Best sleeper bulk people should be jarring. Orango Balkan Supreme is Ludlow Film suggestion. Those German Virginias are fantastic. Aren't those arrows Virginia-based heavy? Yeah, if I'm understanding it right, Mike, that Sweet Vanilla Honeydew probably is much more Virginia forward than an American aromatic would be. The American aromatics tend to be very burley forward. So I think that is in fact true. Fantastic, Tim, and I know I owe you an email about that. We'll get back in touch on that, and I'm really looking forward to trying it. I'd like to get a few other folks to try it as well. Eden is just now jarring up some Balkan Supreme. That's a good philosophy, Doug. Leave the expertise to the experts. And tobacco blending does take a lot of expertise. I've played around with adding Perique to this and that and all, and about half the time I get something I like, and the other half of the time I don't understand why it tastes like that. You really need a lot of experience. Oh, Michael Case, I'm sure it's better than a carousel horse. That's a great expression. I've not heard that before. I did not see Philly Piper's vid, Big Country Buyer, but Paul's Pipe Shop Arrowhead, huh? Interesting. Yeah, Tim, I know you don't have experience as a tobacco blender, but your creation was driven by your hatred of Roger Goodell, and that probably went a long way. This is true, Sailor. A few martinis can help you pass the taste of anything you blend yourself. And Eric S. is recommending SV. I know what SVH stands for, Eric, and I'm blanking on it. But SVH is a great blend, and Balkan Supreme. I think those are for the bulk jarring question. But then again, you claim to like Sun Bear, so I don't know. I don't know if I trust you, Eric. Yes, Tim, your love for trying new things probably helped as well. Piper on the 45 either likes a blend or it's future bug spray. Yeah, bugs don't handle nicotine very well. There you go, Eric. Texas Piper, thank you, Eddie. Very kind of you, sir. Very kind. Voodoo07, Sun Bear is awesome. Oh, Eric. For you guys that don't know, Eric's been trying to get rid of some Sun Bear for quite a long time now, and he doesn't like it. He's just trying to talk it up. Well, folks, I have finished up this bowl, and we're almost at 9:30, so I'm going to begin wrapping up. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in tonight and interacting with Kevin Hobbiton Piper. I encourage you to please go ahead and check out his channel. Again, I apologize I don't have the link ready, but I'll get it in there right after this. Check out his channel and give him a sub. He's well worth your time. I also want to thank all the folks that hung around to chat with me for a little while. I always enjoy that, and the kind tips. I'm humbled by them. So thank you all so much for that. I will be here. Tim wants the foghorn to be changed to a Clarabelle horn. I will look into that, Tim. I will be here on Sunday. I'll definitely do a video on Sunday. I don't know about Wednesday. I've just been so busy. I just haven't had the time to do a Wednesday video. But I'll definitely do something on Sunday. And oh, thank you, Proto Piper. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate that. Again, I don't know what's going to happen next Friday, but I'll update you both here and on Instagram. So if you're looking for me next Friday, you should know before then whether or not I'm going to be here. And I'll definitely be back the following week, and we're going to do something fun. So y'all take care. Again, thank you all, and have a great weekend. Bye now.